And seriously, it's like I was dreaming. He just got up and walked right towards me, but he smelled really bad. And
Mary, if you're gonna tell the story, tell it right, because I was gonna talk about this part.
You know what? Go back to the kitchen and do your work.
Go to your
You are the one
that's
that's supposed to be doing all this.
Girls, you know, I have another idea.
I'm Mary.
I'm Martha.
So I grew up in this little village called Bethany. Martha is my older sister. I guess you describe me as a more curious one. And Martha, very orderly.
I'm the oldest of the two siblings. Lazarus, our older brother, and Mary, who's the youngest. We all grew up and lived in a little village near Jerusalem called Bethany, and we lived what you consider pretty normal lives. I pretty much took care of Mary and tolerated her tendency to daydream and, well, not get much done around the house.
I lived with my sister in her home, where I'd say we equally shared responsibilities.
Yeah, I pretty much took care of the house.
Well, of course you did. The woman was a perfectionist. That woman would not have dinner unless her napkins were on those ridiculous circle things.
They're called napkin rings, and I got them on sale at Pottery Barn. Anyway, for the most part, we got along with any other sisters would, and we loved our brother Lazarus very much, and we lived our lives as best we knew how. When one day, we heard about someone was visiting our town.
Not just someone, this man, Jesus. I've heard about him from so many people, and they said that he was more than just a magician.
They said he could heal the sick and the blind by just touching them. They said he was the answer to the prophets. They said he might be the answer to our prayers. They said
he was the Son of God, and I had to meet him. I had so many questions.
And I just thought, I have to invite this man for dinner in my home, to host Jesus, the actual Messiah, in my home for dinner. What more could I ever ask for? So I found him and his disciples, and I just asked him. He said yes.
He actually said yes. Jesus was actually coming to my home. I had so many questions.
I had so many things to get done. The food, the cleaning, the presentation. I mean, seriously, what do you serve the Son of God for dinner? I mean, it's not like you can find a whole lot on Pinterest for help. And here he was.
And here he was, at our doorstep, with his disciples. I just sat down and listened to what he had to say. I was totally amazed.
And I was a total wreck. And to top it off, where is Mary during all this? Sitting out with the guys doing nothing to help set the table. So finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I just went straight to Jesus and I said,
and she actually said this to him.
I said, Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to do all the work by myself? Tell Mary to get up and come help.
It was like a bomb went off, and everyone just kind of looked around, because it's not like she was asking him a question. She actually told him what he should say to me, and that's when he said it.
And that's when he said it. It was like my eyes were open for the very first time to everything around me, to exactly who was in my house. He said,
Martha, you are worried and distracted by so many things. There is need for only one thing. Mary has chosen the best part, which will not be taken away from her.
Now you would think in a moment like this that I would be mortified, having been called out by Jesus in favor of my sister and her whimsical habits. But you know, I didn't feel that way. Instead, it was like a giant weight had been lifted off my shoulders. This burden that I had piled on myself for so long I never realized I created, it was gone. No longer was I worried about what my sister was doing or where my fine koshers were. Instead, I stopped trying to be perfect and really understood for the first time exactly who had entered my house.
Things changed after that moment. I mean, we had our dinner that night and it was delicious.
Roasted goat with a side of lightly cooked greens and fresh grapes.
But our lives changed in that moment. Once we invited him in, he became our friend. He loved us and he cared about us. And then, when Lazarus died, our whole world crumbled. We loved him so much, and it was like a part of us died in that moment. All we could think is we wanted Jesus here. And so Jesus did come back to see us and Lazarus. I could barely look him in the eye. I mean, if only he had come back a couple days before, he could have healed him, performed one of his miracles. Instead, he was too late. When Jesus got here, he stood with Martha and me. He wept just like us. And then he asked us to take him to his tomb.
He asked me to roll away the rock, but I said, Jesus, he's been dead for 4 days. The stench will be unbearable. Even now, I don't know why I doubted what was about to happen. So I rolled away the rock and Jesus yells inside.
He yells, "Lazarus, get up."
It would have almost been funny if it weren't so terrifying. Out walks our dead brother.
Our dead brother, wrapped in a sheet with a veil over his face. I mean, I couldn't even begin to comprehend what is happening. So I just looked at Jesus and all he said was,
All he says is, unwrap him and let him loose. There are no words to describe what we saw that day. All we could do is embrace our smelly brother.
He really stunk. But he was alive. He was actually alive. On account of a man who was more than a man. On account of a man who could bring the dead back to life. So how do you say thank you?
I made dinner.
I washed his feet in the finest oils I owned. And I believed.
And I believe this man is the answer to the prophets. This man is the answer to our prayers. This man
is my friend. This man really does love me. And this man really is the Son of God. I'm so thankful we invited him in.
So I'm Martha.
I'm Mary.
And this is our close encounter with Jesus.
Cause we are sisters, we stand together, we make a perfect family. No, we don't look the same.
Perfect.
Nailed it. That was all it was. And that's that.